morning. Okay, we're ready for our second part of Janwar's Bridge. So the name of this section, if you'll look on page 142 in your reader, the name of this section is Invasion. So according to the title of this chapter, what do you think is going to happen in the kingdom? An invasion. So as we read today, we're fixing to look at a few these vocabulary words, but as we read today, we're going to be thinking about and watching for the part that Janwar plays in the invasion. So let's look at these words. There's just a few. The surrounded castle was under siege by the attackers. When something is under siege, that means they've surrounded you and you can't get out, nothing can get in, only killing you, or if you surrender. A group of men was sent as a delegation to stop the battle. A delegation is a group of people set aside to do a specific job. The king asked the old philosophers, who were his wisest men, to think of a plan. Now, a philosopher is a thinker, okay? Somebody who's a thinker. All right, so let's look at page 142. Now, as I said, as we read this section, I want you to read along with me. Make sure you stay right along with me. I'll read pretty quickly, and I stumble over words sometimes. But as we read, I want you to find out what part Janwar has in this invasion. All right, let's start reading. The beast had made a mighty circle. His head was nearly to the bank again. He roared his gratitude. Someday I'll bring my sister here to see you. You'll like her. She's beautiful, they say, and she will know how to appreciate so fine a creature as you. The gift I bring you today, said the prince, is the North Star. My father's sailors say they use it to steer their ships. You may have it. Danzy slapped the water with the end of his tail and roared. You like that gift, do you? Said Janwar. Do you like it better than the summer breeze I gave you yesterday? Janwar could feel Danzy's head very near. You had better go now, before Bandine comes. I'll see you tomorrow, my friend. Danzy put his nose against Janwar and then swam slowly backwards, submerging himself as he went. He left so quietly that the prince was often not sure he was gone. On this day, Danzy had hardly disappeared before the prince heard Bandine calling, Prince Janwar! Janwar stood up and turned toward the sound. Your Highness! Bandine called. What is it? Why are you early? Bandine came thrashing through the tangled briars, forsaking the safer but longer path. He arrived before the prince, breathless and scratched. What is it, Bandine? Janwar reached out to take his servant by the shoulders. An invasion, he said, between pants. The kingdom to the south. Are we under siege right now? Janwar felt his heart leaping. No, the servant puffed. What then? A messenger delivered a declaration of war this morning. The southern king begins his march tomorrow. Why? For your sister, your highness. Gimla? Come take me home, quickly. At the palace, an argument was going on in the court. Give me 500 horsemen, father, Nadar said. I can meet the invaders in the third valley. No, said Tayton, the eldest. We must send a delegation to discuss the matter. Stop it, all of you, said Gimla in her quiet voice. I will marry the southern king to spare our father all this trouble. She turned away to the window. 500 men, and I will hold them in the valley, Nadar began again. You only know how to settle things by taking sword in hand, Tayton glared at Nadar. And you would send old philosophers and the aged of our court into the very teeth of war. Silence! King Rolde stood up, and the hall went silent. Janwar still stood at the west door with Bandine. Hear what I say, said the king. Your solutions are not real solutions at all. First, I ask you, Gimla, do you love this king? I love the rats in the grain more, said she without raising her voice. As I thought, the king of Wedona is more to your liking, is he not? She blushed in answer. So no more foolish talk from you then. You will not marry so wicked a man as the southern king for any reason. Now, Nadar, do you know the size of the invading army? No, sir, he replied. Then how can you say 500 of my horsemen will hold them? In years past, I've known this king to go to war with 2,000 soldiers. He may have as many now. Nadar studied the toe of his boot. And you, Tayton, what is there to negotiate? War has been declared already. It is too late for talking. No one there, not the princes, nor the counselors, nor the captains, made any answer to the king. Janwar listened, every nerve taut. He would die to save Gimli, but what could he do? He couldn't ride. He could not hold a bow. He strained forward, hoping to hear comfort from his father. But before the king could speak, one of his outriders appeared in the north door, winded and pale. He bowed low and waited. "Speak, man," said the king. "Your Majesty," he said, "the southern army is in the second valley." Astonishment gripped the hearers. "Say on," said the king. "If they march on at the rate they are coming, they will be here at dusk." "How many men?" said the king. "About 1,000, sir." The king's mouth was set and grim. He scanned the room as if searching for an answer. Janwar felt his heart throbbing against his ribs. He wanted someone to think of a way to save Gimli, but no one spoke. "Call up 1,000 horsemen," said the king. Nadar paced toward the door. "Wait!" cried Janwar. All eyes turned to him. The king was amazed. "Janwar, what is it?" he asked. "I have a plan, sir." The king saw the desire in the boy. "Quickly, son. Let Nadar take the horsemen to the ridges above the river at the narrow place and stay out of sight. I will get Gimli to the other side. When the southern army comes to the river, let Nadar and the men sweep down and trap them against the river. The ridges will be too steep and the path too narrow for them to escape. Then let Tayton and the counselors talk." Everyone waited for the king to dismiss the plan. "How will you get Gimli across quickly enough? Our best rowers cannot steer across that current in one whole day." "I know a bridge, my father." "What bridge? There are no bridges." "A bridge that comes out of the water." "And what is to stop the southern king from sending his men across that bridge?" "It is a secret bridge, sir." King Rolde weighed the risk. He wanted to believe his son for many reasons. Then, to the surprise of all, he said, "We will do as Janwar suggests. Obey him." Janwar could hardly breathe in the silence that followed. "Please bring up the horsemen, Nadar," he said. Nadar glanced at the king, who nodded once. Nadar left immediately. "Sir," said the youngest prince, "Bandine and I will take Gimli to safety. Tayton and what counselors you choose should come behind the horsemen, yes?" "As you say, son," the king replied, "but I will come with you. I want to see this miraculous bridge that even I do not know existed in my kingdom." Before long, the king, Princess Gimli, the king's guards, Bandine, and Janwar stood at the bank by the Wadelia tree. "Where's this bridge?" Gimli asked, a quiver in her voice. Janwar gave a high whistle and then another. Near the other shore, a huge blue sea dragon's head broke the surface, roaring. The king and the princess gasped in wonder. Bandine and the guards fell back. The dragon lifted his head high out of the river and shook the shining water off in all directions. Its horn glistened in the sun. "That horn must be solid silver," said Gimli under her breath, holding Janwar's arm. "Is it silver?" Janwar said. "I thought it was." Danzy swam forward. "It's coming here," said Bandine, running behind the Wadelia. Janwar smiled. "Danzy won't hurt you." When the shining monster neared the shore, even the king stepped back. Two of his guards advanced and crossed their swords in front of him. The great beast put his head beside the roots of the tree and waited. And that's the end of it today. Let's look back where this section started, back on page 140. I'm just going to ask you a few questions because this was kind of a long section. So why do you think Janwar prefers to have his sister see Danzy rather than his brothers? Well, he might think that his brothers might try to kill the dragon, but his sister would not be that way. So what is Gimli's plan? What was her plan at first? She said, "I'll just marry the dude." And then her dad says, "Well, do you love him?" And she said, "I love rats in the grain more." So she was just trying to keep the peace, wasn't she? All right, so let's look then at let's go all the way to page 147 where the dragon comes out. It's the last page that we read today. Would you have been afraid of Danzy? What color was Danzy? It was blue, and he was humongo. All right. Now you can go ahead and close well, you might want to leave your book open because you may need it for your assignment. But to think ahead to our next lesson, do you think John War's plan will work to save Gimli and the kingdom? Now your assignment is not a page that I'm going to help you on because it's a graded page. It's page 62 in your work text. On the very top, the first 6 are definitions. You can use your glossary in the back of your reader book if you need to. And then 1 through 6, you use complete sentences to answer the questions. And you can always look back in your book if you need to, okay? All right, if you need any help, send me a message, and that's all for today.